Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your f***ing cloud, it be raining now. I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
Anything negative, cause I just wanna hear it out your mouth, yeah. Give me fuel, it's a tool that I use to go ahead and run my mouth, yeah. I take shots, I take loss, I make shots, I miss lots. That's how you get big box, you get yachts, you swing lots and pop off a big shot. I ain't done chasing, got big dreams, bigger things, impatient. Who's at the top think they need replacement? Who's at the top think I'm gonna erase it? Face it, I don't give up quick, I don't give up, I won't give up this. Cause I know that I want it, know that I'm on it, I'll make it, I promise.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Night's Watch with me, Fisher of Spam, also known as Jim, whatever. So anyways, tonight, I'm happy that you guys came to hang out. I have a pretty awesome guest, and I think that you guys will find him very interesting. So, with that being said, let's welcome to the stage the boss man himself, Mr. Greg Ogles.
Howdy.
What up, man?
How you doing?
Decent. Doing pretty decent, man.
Mm-hmm.
Tide rolled tonight, so all is well in the neighborhood.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Well, man, how are you doing today?
Well, aside from a little... pretty good. And working on our second film, The Land Between the Lakes, and happy to say it is about 99.5% done.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That is very awesome.
Yep, it's really close. And I'm really excited to be able to see all of it myself, because I haven't seen all of it myself. I've only seen the bits and pieces and the evidence that we caught, because was one of the ones that caught all the evidence on camera.
Right.
So really excited to see all of that and how everything is put together.
Well, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So give us a little bit of a background, if you would, about the next film that's coming out. Let's try to build a little bit of hype.
Yeah, next film's called Cryptic Expeditions, The Land Between the Lakes. It's the second in a series of films that that is titled the Cryptic Expedition series.
Hmm.
And what it does is uh, it delves a little bit deeper into the paranormal world. When we first put out our first film, The Legend of the Downey Boogers, we experienced a lot of stuff that was not Bigfoot, right? We
Right.
experienced, orbs and missing time and ghosts and all sorts of just weird stuff. But we didn't have everything on camera. So
Mhm.
we essentially ignored a lot of that. And um, in retrospect, it may have been a mistake to do that. But what this second film does is we wanted to really know what some of that stuff was.
Right.
So yeah, we went in search of other people who had similar experiences to what we were having, and hopes that they had maybe more experiences. And lo and behold, we found some other folks that had very similar experiences and had some, really wild stories themselves. And we went out and, you know, I don't know if it's luck or we're good or what, whatever it is. It's uh, it's it was a fantastic journey because we experienced a lot of things. We met a lot of really, really good friends.
Right.
Um, uh, from Trey Hudson to Kristen Payton and in the ASA group to
Hmm.
Adam Davies and Martin Groves and Barton Nunley and the Blondes and Booze Girl. We met a lot of people that was just fantastic. And,
Right.
Martin put us right on a spot where we had this amazing encounter. And oh my God, it's probably one of the best encounters ever caught on film.
Right. I know. I might happen to know somebody who's seen a little bit of the juicy bits of that. And let me tell you
Mhm.
guys, like, if you guys out there in YouTube land haven't already gotten your tickets to see this, you're missing out because it is going to be absolutely amazing. I mean,
Mhm.
for real. I mean, it's going to be fun enough to come out there and hang out with all the gang, that we see all the
Mhm.
time. But I mean, getting to experience what's actually going to be out there is going to be super, super.
Yeah, and like I said, we were fortunate enough to capture that whole encounter on, 90% of it
Right.
on film. There was there was some action that happened right before we started cameras rolling that we didn't catch. That was really, really good.
Hmm.
And there was some action right after the batteries died on the cameras. That was pretty darn good. You
Right.
know. So, but for the most part, you'll get to see eye glow from Bigfoot. You'll get to see orbs. You'll get to see, eye shine of Bigfoots.
Hmm.
You'll get to see a lot of stuff, and we were lucky enough to capture it all.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's people take for granted when they watch these films a lot because they're like, oh, there's nothing to be too scared of. It's just some kind of charismatic megafauna that's roaming in the woods, you know? Why be too afraid? But in
Hmm.
reality, you know, I challenge the people that would think that way to be less than 100 yards from a grizzly bear, and you tell me how easy it is to maintain your composure. You know what I mean?
Well, I know exactly what you mean. Not that we were next to a bear, but I mean, we were
Right,
literally 25. I was literally 25 feet away from a big,
right.
when this thing started growling at us.
Hmm.
I first ignored it, kind of put it to the side, but then I guess it zapped. My camera guy Brent, he just goes berserk, and excuse me, he's he, he wants to leave, and you can see in the film where his level of anxiety is probably off the charts. It's completely off the charts.
Right.
And I literally have to hold on to him by the back of his coat to keep him from running. And I'm trying to get the cameras running with the other hand. And eventually he does, settle down. But during that time, I see the Bigfoot, and it's roughly 9 feet tall, and I was like, oh God, they're real. There it is, and it's
Right.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, there was more than one there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly how many there were, but there was more than one, probably more than two. That was with us at the time, and I think they were experiencing some Bigfoot where they were as well. But we didn't get that on camera, so it's one thing to have a story it's another to have it on camera where you can verify the story.
Right.
But I don't think that our other camera person had a camera with her when she went off to the other group. And unfortunately, the camera that she would have used would have been a long range, full spectrum camera, and it would have gotten everything. Anything that's visible, it would have gotten everything.
Yeah.
But like I say, we wasn't there for 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes when all the action started. So we were just unprepared,
That's always how it goes. I mean, not having the camera turned on is something that I can relate to.
That you can, brother.
Yeah.
That you can. And what he's referring to, everybody, is Jim has decided to join with me in making a third film, which is yet to be named. But it's going to center around missing people in some of the national parks. Well, we were at one of the locations, and we were filming about a month or so ago. Lo and behold, we were on a road driving to our location where we were going to investigate. Well, normally what we've done in the past is whenever we've been on these dirt roads in the National Forest, we film from the back, from the back seat, rather. We film from the back seat, and you can usually catch some pretty good conversation. That's usually all you catch, but you usually catch some pretty good conversation doing that. Anyway, excuse me. So, as we were driving, a freaking Bigfoot comes out and crosses between us, crossing the road in front of us. I'm sorry. Now,
didn't have the camera on.
We didn't have the camera running. But, where at first it was like, because it was on all fours, right?
Right.
And you think, well, wow, shouldn't a Bigfoot have been like upright? Well, the embankment on the right side of the road where it came from was about at a 70-degree incline.
Yeah.
It was about like this.
Yeah.
My apologies. And it would make sense for it to be on all fours crawling up that incline. Because, you're trying to stand up on that, gravity, it affects Bigfoot too. And so it came up and it was on all fours, and then it hit the embankment on the other side and just continued on. And it moved up that embankment like nothing. Zip.
I mean, it was like grease lightning, man. It was the blink of an eye. It was insane how fast that thing was moving.
Insane how fast. I mean, they're unnaturally fast. Fast. And we stopped. I immediately pulled out my my thermal camera. We stopped, and usually, if it it really did not look like a bear to me. especially when it started going up that incline. When it went up the incline, its arms sort of, moved out, and it was just moving in a weird manner going up that embankment. And we were like, well, a bear would have left claw marks, and it it didn't leave claw marks.
Right.
I apologize. I have been sick, and
Happens.
I wanted to apologize to your audience for coughing.
Nah.
So anyway, it moved up that other embankment. Long story short, we had a Bigfoot cross right in front of us.
Yes. Yep.
Didn't have the camera rolling. I mean, it would have been the footage of footage. It would have been next to the Patty film.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's so bad that it didn't happen, that for the next month that I've been begging you on your little side project to say hi to one of my personal heroes, Mr. Tony Merkel of the Confessionals. You have him tell me in the video, make sure you have the video rolling next time, Jim. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Well, at least he mentioned you.
At least there's that. At least
yeah, he knows who you are. For better or worse.
Yeah. Yeah. That laid some great groundwork, brother. I appreciate that.
Tony was a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh.
Anyways.
But yeah, this next film coming up is going to center around the missing people around the national parks. And folks, we are probably 30% done filming with that.
Yeah.
We got a few more interviews to do and an investigation, and this one will be wrapped up filming in March.
Yeah. Super excited to go to that.
Mm-hmm. And Jim will be joining us, and it'll also feature Adam Davies and a few other new faces will be joining us. So I'm excited to bring along some new faces.
Yeah. So now on the premiere that's happening in January, so let's kind of circle back a little bit.
Yeah.
So where exactly is it going to be located at?
It's at the AMC Theater in Coleman, Alabama.
Awesome. Now, I imagine with such an awesome film as this is going to be, that there's probably going to be a live stream version available for people?
There is. The website is still under construction, but it'll be finished within the next week or so.
So I imagine probably stay tuned to the Facebook and you'll give all the links out for that.
I will, most definitely. And, there'll be tickets sold for that as well. And you'll be able to see the film. And, one of the things I'm grappling with is am I going to make it a one-time streaming event, or am I going to let people see it, for several months before it goes to other platforms?
Right. Yeah. Time will tell. Either way, don't want to miss it.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be a good film. It really is. It's going to be a good film. One thing that kind of sets us apart from other filmmakers is that, we're 100% real. And what you see is what you get. If we don't catch it on camera ourselves, normally we won't even refer to it
right
in the film because it just becomes a story. Now, it's not to say we're not going to have other experiencers, because we do, and we have their stories.
Right.
But ourselves, we like to have it on film. So either film or audio, one of the two.
Right. Makes sense. So I guess let's see here. How do we move on from that? Moral of the story, folks, check it out. Make sure you're subscribe to all the links and everything that's associated with Mr. Greg here. And that way you'll stay informed, I'm sorry, I'm not the best interviewer in the world. Kind of new at this, but yeah. So I guess the next thing that we probably should cover is what really made you interested in all this, man? Was there a particular set of circumstances that really turned you on to it, or what's the background here?
Well, I essentially got into it just as a diversion. But there was also another motivating factor is, I was getting a little bit older and I looked around, even though I was an engineer, I really didn't have anything to tell the world that I was here.
Right.
And, I wanted to make a difference in the world, or at least let the world know that I was here.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't very good at music. I have a very good ear for music, but I don't have any musical talent whatsoever. My son does, though. He's a freaking genius, but not me. So once I got into Bigfooting, I was like, hey, I do have some skills that I can bring to the table with this. I was investigator. And I investigated, even though it was car crashes, you still use all the same tools.
Right.
So it's like putting a puzzle together. You find pieces of evidence and you put them in places where they go, and then you come to an educated conclusion based off the evidence. And I just used the very same tools coming to this. And I was like, well, I'm documenting things anyway. So if I'm going to solve this mystery, I'm going to might as well make a documentary, right?
Right.
What better way can I make a difference? I can make a real contribution to this community.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially was the motivating factors that got me into it.
Right. Right.
And I had some when I was a kid, I had some encounters. I had a UFO encounter when I was a kid, and it was very traumatic.
Really?
Yes, it was quite traumatic, and I didn't talk about it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And even after doing the Bigfoot stuff, I didn't talk about it until the reports came out from the Pentagon.
Right.
Is essentially saying that UFOs are real and they don't know what they are. Of course, they know what they are, but they're not going to tell us. So that's when I started talking about my UFO encounter.
Right. That's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah.
It adds weight to your words after that point, right?
It does. It does.
Right.
And, people won't look at you like you're, I don't know, need mental help. Even though some people might think I'm going to need mental help, but, life's a little bit better if you're a little bit crazy.
Oh, yeah. It's certainly more entertaining that way, right?
No, it's way more entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, since we broached the subject, is it something that you feel comfortable recounting, or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was a little kid. I had my 2 older brothers and 2 older cousins with me, and we were walking down a country road headed to my grandmother's house, and it was in the summertime because I remember wearing shorts and it was kind of warm, but it was it was not moist outside at all. I
At
don't
least
know.
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. I was a kid, so.
Mm.
So anyway, this light was shone down on us, just boom,
Right.
and it was extremely bright, and the edges of the light was like you set up. It wasn't like you shine a flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like you set a glass down on top of us, a glass of light, the edges were extremely defined. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
trying to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
There wasn't any diffusion
Right.
of the light, and you
Mhm.
couldn't see beyond the light.
Mm,
Yeah, tried to look up. Of course, it's too bright.
right.
And I remember looking at my hands and thinking that I could feel the light.
Mhm.
I could feel this light, which, in retrospect, it was probably more like static electricity. That's what it felt
Yes.
like.
Key point, folks.
hmm
Keep going.
Um, then my next memory was being on my grandmother's porch. It's a covered porch because she lived in the country, and that's what they had at the time.
Right.
And I remember thinking, how is the light coming through the porch? Because coming through the roof of the porch.
Mhm.
And I remember being extremely frightened.
Mhm.
And then the light lifted. It didn't turn off or cut off. It lifted up and just went whoosh, like that.
Right.
And after that, my brother, oldest brother, he was brave enough to look out up from up under the covering. He saw the craft. I didn't, but he said it was a giant triangle,
Mhm.
and he said it was gigantic. Just covered the whole sky,
Right. Okay.
and it was boop, and it went, and it was gone.
Right.
So I remember being in the road, and I remember being on my grandmother's porch, but I don't remember how I got from the road to my grandmother's porch, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
when we were walking down to my grandmother's house, it was
Mhm.
dusky, but not completely dark.
Right.
And when we were on my grandmother's porch, it was completely dark. I mean, the sky was starry.
Right.
So I don't know how much time passed, but some time had passed.
Hmm. Very interesting.
hmm And I remember
Well,
being very traumatized by it.
yeah, well, who wouldn't be, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's it's one of those things that, you're not really too mm, as normal as you were beforehand. I mean, I
Right.
can I can totally vouch for that. I mean, my story,
Right.
or at least that one anyways. But yeah, I mean, it's first of all, I think it's really interesting, like, sans static feeling, how
hmm
like you can literally feel the light. It's kind of being put into use, like the whole light can act as a particle or a wave type of
hmm
scenario, right?
hmm
And then plus there's the static electricity, which is connected with everything. It never fails. It's always one of those things that everybody talks about, and it's the
Well, see,
breadcrumbs.
yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. I just remember looking down at my hands and thinking I can feel the light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Thank you,
You know,
Martin.
yes, thank you, Martin. That's interesting, man. That's interesting. So now,
Mhm.
I would assume that you at that early age would want to have like some answers, and I would
Mhm.
imagine that was part of like the driving factor into why you want to apply your skills and to try to solve some of these mysteries, right?
It is exactly.
Right.
You know, um, I'm actually very good at solving mysteries.
Hmm.
It's very good at my job. Very good. I mean, I don't do that anymore and because I'm, on to other things. But as when I did do that, I was very good at it, and
Right.
sometimes to the detriment of the city, you know.
Right.
But I was always honest in my reports, whether it's the city's fault or uh, motorist's fault or train's fault or what wherever the fault lies, would lie, I would usually find it.
Right. Well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Now, once you decided to start applying these traits to this field,
Mm-hmm.
and you went out and experienced or tried to shoot Downy Booger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there any good like tidbits that you would like to share without spoiling everything? Because I want people to actually go out there and watch it. It's a good movie.
The Downing Booger.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, let me talk about some things that were not in the Downy Booger. Our first outing, we went out, and within 45 minutes, we had found a Bigfoot trackway.
Mm-hmm.
Not just one footprint; it was a trackway, and we, we did document those, but what we had, the equipment that we had, and my camera skills were so poor; they were awful, awful. Yeah, so we didn't use that. But we've had this nice trackway that came down a small little hill to a pond, and it walked around halfway around the pond and then back up to into the forest.
Yeah.
And they were perfect. They were 16 inches long, 7 inches wide. I mean, beautiful track. And we didn't have, we didn't even carry stuff to cast a print with
Right.
at the time. Another rookie mistake. We were like, yeah, we're going to solve this mystery real quick. There's nothing to it, right?
Right.
So, I mean, later that same day, we found yet another trackway of prints in a field, at about a quarter mile away.
Yeah.
But they were the exact same dimensions. 16 inches long and 7 inches wide. And we're like, it's the same guy, same dude.
Right.
But the prints this time they were a little bit wider in gait. They were instead of 5.5 feet apart, they were 8 to 9 feet apart. But when we got to the last track, the last track that we could find was in the middle of the field.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go anywhere else.
So you mean to tell me you follow the trackway,
Mm-hmm.
you eventually go out to the middle of the field,
Mm-hmm.
and it disappears?
Yeah, disappears. We're like, where'd it go?
Man,
because it's leaving impressions. It's like an inch and a half deep, right?
Right.
Because one thing that I did do was use interpolation to try and find the weight of the creature, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I used the depth of what my imprints were. Now my weight was a known weight. I'm not going to tell it at the time, but and then I used the depth of the prints.
Mm-hmm.
I assumed some things like the conditions of the soil was the same on the same day, so you have to make some assumptions.
Right.
And I came up with a weight of 750 pounds, or roughly 750 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's a big boy. That's a real big boy.
That's a real big boy. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of that field, this is a really long field, right? So at the end of the field, there was these 2 4x4 posts, and there were bat houses on top of the 4x4 posts.
Oh.
And we found fingerprints on one of the 4x4 posts, about 7 feet up ish. There was 4 fingerprints on one side and a thumbprint on the same side. So whatever made these fingerprints, and it was made out of I don't know if it was mud or I think it was guts because it looked like blood, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it was reaching up into these bat houses and ripping
Uh-huh.
these things apart and eating them. But
It's kind of like
anyway,
fast food, yeah.
yeah, that's fast food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever it was had a hand big enough to reach all the way around a 4x4 post,
Right.
right? Just like this. I'm like, holy moly, huge
That's
hand.
no easy feat right there, for
Right.
sure.
And we did get that on film too. But again,
Mhm.
the camera presence and all that, not so good. All that was the same day. We thought there was going to be nothing to this. Going to solve it real quick, real quick. Nah,
Right.
we didn't know how lucky we were. We really didn't. Later we were able to go back and we did cast one of the prints. We did, and we actually got a handprint too out of that, all of that,
Oh,
because
cool.
at the edge of the woods is where it was like on all fours or something.
Right.
And we found two handprints. One we casted, and the other one just it wouldn't cast.
Right.
But
Right.
we got a really nice handprint and a footprint.
Mhm.
We did get some good evidence then.
Yeah.
Things that we experienced that we didn't put in the film. Missing time, we didn't put that in the film. Ghosts,
Okay.
didn't put that in the film. I didn't
Mhm.
believe in ghosts until I saw one. Saw an Indian on a horse materialize while we were out. We were out orb watching,
Right.
and this Indian on a horse materialized in the field right in front of us. Whoosh, just whoop, there it was.
Huh.
And it rode across the field, just
Right.
and got to the edge of the trees and disappeared. I looked over at Janice and I said, "Hey, did you see?" And then she finished the sentence. What? An Indian on a horse? Yeah,
Wow.
because she was like all turned on and stuff because it wasn't wearing a shirt. It was just wearing buckskin pants,
Oh, giggity. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's what she was saying. Giggity. But
Oh, wow.
yeah, I mean, you could see lots of details on it, and it had
Mhm.
something in its hair, like some kind of feather or something,
Mm.
and some kind of band around the top of the head.
Right.
But it was cool. It was cool and very interesting. I had never
Definitely.
seen a full-bodied apparition like that. I mean, it's strange that not only did you see the Indian, but the Indian on the horse.
Yeah, I
The
mean, the
horse
horse
is
is there
yeah,
too,
the
so
horse is there. Yeah.
that's something.
So I'm like, wow, that was incredible.
Right. Yeah.
So we
Well,
didn't put that in, didn't even mention it because we didn't have it on film.
right.
We had missing time. Of course, that's a long story.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the energy to talk about it,
That's
but
fine.
we had disembodied voices.
Hmm.
Now, this is when you think that, oh, somebody else is crazy, they're crazy. Um, when we were and this is the same location where we saw the Indian, right?
Right.
So, but a different time. We
Mhm.
went there, and I was going to the bathroom, into the restrooms, and I come back. When I came back, Janice had said, "What are you trying to do? Prank me or something? Something to that effect." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And you said, "Hey, Janice," from up under her truck, right?
Okay.
And she said that I touched her ankle or something like that. What are you talking about, Janice? I'm down at the bathroom. Been there for a minute.
Right.
So she was like, "You wasn't up under my truck." And I'm like, "No, Janice, I was not up under your truck. You see this fat boy getting up under your truck?"
Yeah, like, why would I wanna do
Like,
that?
yeah. I'm like, "No." And she
Huh.
said, "I could have swore you said," she said, "I heard your voice." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're crazy, Janice." But later on that
Hmm.
night, I got up out of the tent. I was going to go use the bathroom. And guess what I heard? "Hey, Janice," in my voice. I heard that crap. And I was like, holy moly.
Okay.
And that happened another time at Fort Mountain
Yeah.
with another investigator that got me into the field.
Mm-hmm.
His name was Paul Halsey. Rest his soul. He just passed away a few weeks ago.
Rest in peace.
And Paul heard, "Hey, Paul," in my voice at Fort Mountain.
Really?
Yes. And there were multiple witnesses for that. Monica Rawlings,
Uh-huh.
she was there, and she was sitting right beside Paul. And there was somebody else there. But anyway, they both heard it. And I was way off with another group, you know.
Wow.
But he swears that, I yelled at him from behind the little outhouse there.
Yeah.
And he went to check behind the outhouse. Of course, nobody was there, and I was nowhere near there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that's happened on several occasions.
Right.
And I got another disembodied voice at Rich Mountain in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
where it was more like a whoa kind of a sound.
Mm-hmm.
But that was interesting because we were hearing other things, but with our ears before I started recording.
Right.
And some of it sounded like cackling, like kind of a weird cackling. And
It's disconcerting. Yeah.
it is. It's a bit concerning, when
Yeah.
we're out there in the middle of nowhere Rich Mountain.
Right.
And then I was like, well, hey, we're starting to get some stuff. I want to start
Mhm.
recording. But whatever I was recording, it wasn't Bigfoot, I don't think. But, it was something. One of the other things that we started to
Right.
encounter that took so long to film
Mm-hmm.
was electronic failure.
Right.
Now, this is something that at first we weren't prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite frustrating. Like, we thought we would catch something, right?
Right.
It comes to find out the cameras would malfunction or the
Mhm.
batteries would drain.
Right.
Just all sorts of anomalies would happen
Mhm.
with electronics. And that's one of the reasons why it took us so long to film.
Right.
And we weren't able to catch or use some of the interviews and
Mhm.
expeditions that we went on.
Right.
And just just like that first film, this second film,
Mhm.
same thing. We've had some anomalies in it,
Hmm.
and those anomalies were very reminiscent of the first film, except
Mhm.
we were more prepared for them this time,
Yeah.
and we know how to work around them.
Mhm.
So they were to be expected, in other words.
Right. Right. Well, the good news is next time we're gonna have Faraday cages, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Faraday cages. We're going to experiment and see if the Faraday cages work.
Yes, we definitely need to do that. It's interesting to me that you have all these experiences happening on site from things that would be ordinarily like disconnected, like, oh, Mr. Ghostus's Indian and his horse with Bigfoot. And then you got orbs. And that
Mhm.
doesn't even count for, the super special monkey that knows how to disappear
That's right.
and the electrical issues and just it's odd, it's like either this is the most specialized megafauna to ever exist, or there's just a little bit more of something going on out there with all this stuff, and
Mhm.
it's all connected somehow. It's very
Mhm.
interesting. Very
It is.
interesting.
It is. Once we started going down the rabbit hole has all sorts of side tunnels.
Oh yeah.
I promise, and it goes deep.
Oh yeah.
Um, even I've seen some really, really weird crap doing all this.
Mm.
Um, I've seen Bigfoot. I was lucky enough to see Bigfoot twice this in 1 year.
Yeah.
Which is more than most people in an entire lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've been close to Bigfoot a lot, sometimes uncomfortably close, and I didn't know until until film revealed it.
Yeah.
Because we got some stuff on film that I didn't see with my eyes, but the camera did, and I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, holy crap! That was a little too close."
Right.
But during the making of this film, it was our first night at the Land Between the Lakes, and either first or second night, I can't remember. It's one of those nights.
Right. Right.
So we went to a cemetery,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to look for these orbs, right? So I actually start seeing orbs, right?
Mm.
We see orbs. And I see a light that I'm not familiar with. I can see the results of the light, but I can't see the source of the light, right? So I
Right.
start maneuvering around to see the source. Finally, I get a good look at the source. The source is what looks like a square or rectangular panel with very sharp edges. And when I looked in it, it was like looking into daylight somewhere.
Like
It
somewhere else.
somewhere else. It was a freaking portal.
Okay.
I'm sitting here I would swear on anything. It was a freaking portal. And
Right.
I'm sitting here
Right.
looking at it, and I'm looking into another world. But wherever it is, it's not here because it
Right.
was dark. It was midnight or so wherever we were at. And I'm looking
Mm.
in this thing, and it's daylight wherever I'm looking into it.
Uh-huh.
And then it just vanished, was gone, just poof, was gone. And I was like, wow. And I think what happened was why it vanished
Mm-hmm.
was there was a lot of flashlights being shown, and I think a flashlight shined on a gravestone, and the
Mm.
reflection from the flashlight shined out that way, shined back toward us, right?
Right.
And I think the reflection from the flashlight made it disappear.
Mm-hmm.
But a few minutes later, right up where that portal was, an orb appeared. It traversed from where that portal was, up
Mm-hmm.
kind of close to where we were. So that's kind of making me put two and two together that,
Right.
hey, maybe these orbs do come from somewhere else, not here.
Right. Right.
And we've had a lot of interaction with orbs and Bigfoot at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that connection is, but there's some sort of connection.
Right.
I don't know exactly what it is, but there's a connection somehow, somewhere.
Right. That makes sense. That's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Now, it makes me wonder if perhaps these orbs are almost like something's true form, and it can just take whatever form it just really wants to. I don't have any evidence to back that up, so guys don't like quote me on that. But when you see such things in proximity like that, and then you see things manifest differently, it's like maybe there's something there,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, you have
But-
a paradigm shift.
Right.
And when you go through a paradigm shift, your whole mindset changes,
Mhm.
because you see something that is not supposed to exist.
Right.
Or or you're told that, if these things are evil, they're demonic or whatever. And personally, I
Right.
haven't. The encounter at the LBL was very intense,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. However, I don't think that they really meant to harm us, because if they wanted to, they would have. Because these things move so fast that,
Right.
I mean, they're incredibly fast, and
Mm-hmm.
and as you see for yourself, they
Yes.
are incredibly fast.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I saw, yeah, I mean, it was roughly 9 foot tall or
Mm-hmm.
taller, maybe, and it. I mean, it moves so fast that I, you can't even put it to words, or at least I can't.
Right.
It made me become speechless,
Mm-hmm.
and I will say this: it was counterintuitive as to how one would think it would make me feel.
Right.
Um, if logically speaking, if you saw something like that, you would be like, "Oh my God, I'm so scared." It's moving so fast, it would kill me. Blah blah blah. Okay, so actually, it gave me comfort that it was moving so fast and growling and blah blah blah
Right.
that I was like, if it wanted to hurt us, it would have. It didn't.
Right.
So it had no intent to hurt us, I don't think. Um, it just, maybe it was out playing, or maybe it was angry. It just was intimidated or something by so many people. I don't know. Um, I kind of got a feeling of comfort actually during that encounter.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't scared at all. Especially after how fast I saw it move. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, this thing is so fast. There's no, if it wanted to, it would be on us before you could even draw a weapon. It was that fast.
Right. It's almost like physics don't exactly apply to them. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does to a
you're right.
certain extent, but not all the way. It's weird how
Right.
that works.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And that's how I would describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Newtonian physics doesn't always apply.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about ghosts.
Hmm.
And I remember after we were done having our little fun out there in the mountains
Hmm.
that you went off to do a ghost hunt in Missouri.
I sure did.
Yeah. And I saw a little bit of what you said about wearing the God helmet, and I found that
Hmm.
very interesting.
Hmm.
Do you mind recounting a little bit of that for me?
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
So it's this helmet that you put on, and it transmits different frequencies into your head. It
Mm-hmm.
almost has the same effect as LSD
Mm-hmm.
on your brain,
Right.
but it does it electronically instead of chemically.
Right.
Um, so I had put that on, and at first, there's just your brain's trying to make sense of what's happening, and
Mm-hmm.
then if you relax yourself and you control your breathing, take some deep breaths, and just relax every muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, everything that I started seeing would go white, just boom,
Right.
just nothing but white.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I began to see aliens,
At a
and
haunted
it's
house.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like the gray aliens.
Yeah.
It's like they were. It's like there were two dividers, and it would poke its face right down real close to mine, and
Mm.
it was like like it was looking through a crack of some sort,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it would poke its face right down at me,
Hmm.
and mentally I would try to reach out and grab it, and it would pull back, and then it would go from the white back to these pulsing
Hmm.
uh, colors of red,
Right.
and then eventually you get back into where you would see white again, and then boom, you see that white, and then uh,
Mm.
I would see the aliens again.
Right.
Um, I didn't get any like real messages or anything
Hmm.
like that that I remember. But the most thing that I do distinctly remember seeing is the aliens.
Yeah.
Now I had another experience with a God helmet before, and there was a dear friend of ours that had passed away. That's in the land between the lakes.
Uh-huh.
His name is Bob Wilson, and he was referred to as grumpy by a lot of people, but
Right.
he was far from it. Anyway,
Hmm.
so it was at his memorial service, and I had used a God helmet, and immediately after using that God helmet, we went into a meditative session where we did a
Hmm.
group meditation.
Right.
And at the end of the meditation, we were to recount, things that we saw
Hmm.
and just relay them back to the group. So as I was telling my story, I told the group that I saw a white orb with a black dot in the middle,
Hmm.
and um, yeah, I saw some other things, and they were inconsequential. But I did see Bob. Now,
Hmm.
he didn't look like he did when I saw him, but somehow I knew that it was Bob.
Right.
But um, when I was done telling my story, the leader of that ASOG group,
Hmm.
Trey Hudson, he chimed up and he said, "Hey, the orb that you were talking about, Bob had seen a UFO with a black dot in the middle,
Hmm.
and he had saw it there at that place."
Yeah.
And I didn't know that story,
Hmm.
and it really freaked me out. I mean, really, really freaked me out
Yeah. Yeah.
because it was like he had touched my mind, right?
Hmm.
Um, then I was so disturbed by it, I left,
Right.
and I got into the Jeep, and as I was leaving, I was having these emotions of number one, guilt, and
Hmm.
two, being disturbed.
Right.
But guilt was kind of overcoming me because I felt some of the other people in that group deserved that encounter.
Right.
And I said to Bob, I said, Bob, I said, they deserve that more than me. I said, why me? And then sure as we're having this conversation right now, I hear in my head an audible voice saying, it had to be you.
Mm. Very interesting.
And I'm like, me and Bob got into an argument in my car.
Yeah.
I'm like, Bob, no. I said, they deserve that. And he's like, no. He said, it had to be them. They knew that story. You didn't.
Mm. That
And he
makes
says,
sense.
in other words, he was telling me that if anybody else would have gotten that, they all knew the story. So it
Hmm.
wouldn't have been believable of a message to
Right.
everybody else. But since I didn't know that story, the message to everybody else was he was there and he was watching over them. And
Interesting.
and he had told me that and his ashes were scattered there, by the way.
Yeah.
And he had said that it wasn't so much the place, why he wanted to be scattered there, but it was the place where everybody he loved joined was there.
Right.
He said,
Now,
yeah,
if I remember correctly, this is at the Meadow.
it is.
Yeah. So there's also that, folks. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
Mhm.
with that, buddy.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's good to interject with stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah, and, and I was quite disturbed by that for some time, for quite a while.
Yeah.
Um, but I've come to terms with it and come to embrace it, and
Mhm.
thought, it was a beautiful encounter, and I think that I've been the last person to actually communicate with Bob. So,
Very interesting.
that's a beautiful gift. A very
Yeah,
beautiful gift.
sure. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Well, man, it sounds like you've had a lot of different experiences. A lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I have.
I mean, and it's all fascinating, man. It's so it's interesting, for one, like all the interconnectivity of just everything is just, it's good. It's good for me to hear that from other people. That way I don't feel like I'm always up here droning on a dead horse saying that it's all connected.
Hmm.
So that's awesome. And and if nothing else, I really, really hope that it draws up some interest for this next film that's coming out, because if I'm not mistaken, even Mr. Adam Davies himself has been all around the world looking for cryptids and been all on TV. But when he came with you guys down to the LBL,
Hmm.
stuff happened, right?
That's right.
So,
Yep. He had
yeah.
been all over the world in
Mhm.
search of what he found right here with us.
Right. That's
He had an
very interesting.
incredible encounter. His military training kicks in. You'll be able to see that.
Right.
Um, he was able to see orbs. He had never seen orbs before. And he
Hmm.
was like, "Oh my God, they're dancing."
You know, I'm sure with a British accent that would be much better.
Yeah, of course it would.
Yeah.
You know, oh, poor Adam. He's like a brother.
Yeah.
But I kind of gave him hell after I got to know him.
Mm.
We were at Cracker Barrel after we were eating, and this young lady who came up to us, our waitress, she had a really thick Southern accent, really, really thick.
Nice.
And of course, with his accent, she was having trouble communicating with him at first.
Right.
I just looked over at her and I said, "You have to forgive him. He's from Australia." He looked over at me like, "What the hell?"
Oh, what I would have done to have been able to experience that feedback loop of language, that would have been awesome to see.
Yeah, there was profanity after profanity.
Of course. Oh, Lord.
Responses.
Right. Right.
Oh me.
Well, anyways, the
Yes.
moral of the story is lots of interesting stuff, and
Mhm.
you bring it all to the table for people to experience. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
So,
hope they do.
yes. So, guys, I want to encourage everybody, mark your calendars and make sure that you were there. Or if you're not there in person, at least live stream it, because you don't want to miss it. And if you can't wait, go watch the other one. Go watch Booger.
Mhm.
It's good too. So,
Go watch The Legend of the Downy Booger. You can find it on Tubi and YouTube documentaries and a host of other streaming platforms. You can watch it free with commercials, but you can watch it free. You can even buy it from Walmart.com, and you'll have a hardback version of it. So it's in DVD too.
Mm-hmm.
So please go out and watch it. It is a really good film. It's our first film, so you get to see us grow.
Right.
This second film comes out January 4th, 2025, and
Mhm.
it's going to be at the AMC Theater in Coleman, Alabama. And you can go on to Relic Films Facebook page, and you can buy your tickets from brushfire.com from there,
Mhm.
from the link there. And soon to go on sale will be the tickets for the live stream. You can buy your tickets to the live stream if you can't make it to the premiere, and you can still watch the film.
Right. Awesome. Well, guys, make sure that you guys all go out and do that, because trust me, you don't want to miss it. And, it's also only going to get better from there too, because this guy.
That's right.
So,
We're growing and growing, and I endeavor to bring not only good entertainment, but lots of evidence to the table.
right. Super important. Well,
Mhm.
Greg, it's been an honor. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me, Mr. Bossman. I really appreciate you.
Thank you
So,
for having me.
yes, sir. Is there anything else you want to tell the audience before we get up out of here, buddy?
Just War Eagle.
That's the funniest thing you've said all night. Roll Tide, brother.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, stick around. I'll be right back, okay?
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, man. All right, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we learned some interesting things. Lots of good information there that is very relevant. I hope you guys caught it. And also, like I've just been harping on, you just make sure you check it out. Make sure you all go and watch it. It's going to be so epic. So, let's see here. I don't know that I have much else to really add to this, other than I love y'all, tookie. And you guys have a great, wonderful night. Roll Tide. Bye.